Again, this is actually, I don't know why it is in Italian, but in preferences, you can change the language. In English, actually, previously was in English, so I don't know what happened. But
the first one, Riccardo, American English.
First one, yeah. Okay. Done. Maybe I have to restart the project. But yeah, you see, you also have plenty of language options, so you don't have to stick with English. There's really a lot of, you see, now it's in English. Sometimes you have just to restart.
Yeah, I believe for now it's better if everybody use it in English, so you can.
Yeah, just for consistency with us.
Exactly, map what Riccardo will be saying to your screen.
So now, this is the page. If you open a new project, this is the very first button here that Luca showed, this new project, and you have open, save, and other stuff. But the first one is open new project. You see that by default, QGIS is opening a project in EPSG 4326. This is WGS 84 reference system. Okay, so it's an Earth reference system. Okay, this is not what we want, but you also very conveniently, if you're working on a GIS project that has raster images or raster files or vector files that have their own reference system, you simply have to drag them into your main canvas, and then the reference system is switching to the reference system of the very first file you load. There are many ways to load files. There is this one in this bar here in the browser. Basically, you can browse into your computer. This is, for example, my hard drives, or into my computer drive, you see. Or another very convenient way is to do this. You open a folder, for example, the folder that you've just downloaded with this project, where you have your, Luca just showed it to you in Linux, but on Mac is the same. The trafficability project in QGZ, the raster files, vector files. So let's say I want to load a base map, okay? For example, the WAC base map. So a wide angle camera. You simply select it, you drag it into your canvas. It loads up. It says that cannot transform. This is again this annoying message, but you simply have to discard it. And then here below, if you go and click, you see that now the reference system has changed. Okay. This is information about your reference system, about the datum of the moon, unit measure of distance, and so on and so forth. So this is the first step to create a project. You have to take some data and you have to ingest some data inside. I can load, for example, DEM. Again, in the same way, and you see, every time you drag something inside, is going to be put on the top of the previous object. So if I switch it off, I will see the image. If I switch it on, I see the DEM. You see the DEM as this default color bar. If I take it and select here and explode this arrow here, you will see the values. And if I right-click and go to properties, I am able to change the color again. So you go here to symbology, single band pseudo color. This is what we want. And actually, no. Yes, we can select a color ramp here. Now it's empty. You have plenty of options. You have pre-prepared color ramps. I've used spectral before, somebody asked that. There are many others. If you go to all color ramps, you can see there are a lot. For the moment, I can select spectral again. I can choose to right-click, invert the color ramp, just to have the red colors at the higher values, and click apply. Okay, so now I have colored my DTM. A nice thing that I want to show you just now is how to add this very nice slider to make the transparency interactive, because now we don't see below the color coding of the DTM, we just see the color ramp. So if you right click and go to the properties, basically right clicking and going to properties is one of your best friends when you're building your own project. And you scroll down, you have transparency, you can adjust it here, okay? So if you click apply, you will see that now we have half the transparency. But this is not what we wanted, because we have to enter all the time inside this window. So we can pull it up, click apply, and then we have again our DTM, which is completely opaque. But if we go down to legend here, we have some widgets available. For example, opacity slider. Okay, if you enable this and move this to used widgets with this arrow, so shifting this to the used widgets and clicking apply, here opacity slider appears. Okay, so if we then click OK, then we can use it to adjust your opacity accordingly in real time, which is very, very much convenient if you're working with lots of these thematic layers. So again, to do this and to adjust color ramps, you have to go here. You can also take it and grab it up if you need. Select it, right click, properties. If you go to legend, you can use your opacity slider. If you can also remove it by doing this, you click on the other arrow. If you click apply, the opacity slider is gone. For any reason you want to do that, you can. I can add it again. And then the symbology is helping you to select your preferred color ramp. There are other options. Yes?
Could you show, just because I love it, could you show in this window?
Blending.
Yeah, layer rendering. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, we have also other options, as Luca suggests, which are nice. And these are much more similar to the options that you have in Photoshop. If you are used to Photoshop, you have the blending modes, you have lighten, screen, dodge, addition, multiply, burn, overlay, and all these kind of things. You can adjust the brightness. So let me adjust, for example, the brightness. You see how light it becomes. You can adjust the contrast to have more contrasty image. Yeah, we see it here. You can adjust the saturation. And you can do it with every layer you need. If you mess up for some reason, you can also invert colors. Okay. If you mess up for any reason, you can click reset and everything is set, apart from invert colors, of course. It's set from the beginning. If you mess up like me and you don't want to have this, you can simply go select another color bar or reselect the previous color bar, click apply. And I don't know how this is a bug.
Are you still inverted?
No, but yes. Now it works. Yeah. You have to change the color bar before. Yeah. Okay, now it's the same, you see? There are also blending modes. So if you don't want to play with the opacity, but you want to blend the images, we can turn the opacity, I use this for convenience, up. You can make completely opaque your DTM. You want to blend it, for example, multiplying it like in Photoshop. So if you go to symbology here, to blending mode, you can multiply. And this is what happens. It becomes very dark, but you can adjust the brightness, you play with the brightness and with the gamma, you can reach up very nice results. Actually,
I believe for maps, for DTMs over
overlay is better, right?
Yeah, overlay is the best one.
This one, overlay is the better one, but also with maps, sometimes multiply works nice. So you see, there are many ways to accomplish a result that is visually appealing to you and helping you with your mapping, okay? This is one of them. For example, now if I adjust the brightness, I can create different effects, of course. There are many ways to accomplish results that you like and that you need. Okay. Let me adjust again this. Okay, so if you take more layers, you can continue to drop inside some mosaics. We have Kaguya terrain camera, for example, ortho images. We can drop in, and we have Kaguya images, which is at higher resolution than the WAC. If you remember, WAC is 100 meters per pixel, while Kaguya now in this case is 6 meters per pixel. How do we know that? Inside each of these files, if you click again with right click and go inside in the properties, you cannot. There's not only the symbology that you can consult or you can adapt or adjust, but also you have information on the specific layer. In this case, we have the name of the layer, the path where the layer is saved, your file, the size, and also here other information. For example, the extent in metric coordinates, the data type, if it's 32 bits, 8-bit, if it's in GeoTIFF, other types of information, and here below, the pixel size, so the resolution. In this case, this DEM is 59 meters per pixel. So this information gives you an information about the resolution. Each pixel of my DTM is 59 meters. If I want to check this image, this Kaguya ortho image that I just loaded, apart that visually it's very, very clear. If I switch this off, I start seeing the pixels if I zoom in a lot. But if I enable this image, I reach up a much higher resolution. You see, I can go much, much higher in detail. I can even see boulders. Yeah, if I switch it off, the WAC is not such high resolution. So how to say that and how to infer the resolution? Again, go here, right click, properties, and on the first tab here, you see also the total size is quite high. Scroll down, and the pixel size here is 8 meters. Okay, so it's quite a difference. And again, if you go below and you scroll below, you have other information like projection and other stuff. There might be the chance that you have some data that you forgot to put all together in the same reference system. Anyways, QGIS and also other JS systems, when you drag and drop different layers inside, we'll try to adjust them to a common reference system, which is typically the first one or the first layer that you put inside the project. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. We have to be careful, but this is also good to know. I mean, it's better not to do that, but there might be chances that you are loading different type of data with slightly different reference systems. The GIS systems are trying to reproject them, relocate them on the fly to the right locations. They don't always work, but it's a good thing to know. What do we have on the schedule now? Bookmarks and decorations. So now that we have loaded some rasters, let's say that we are zooming in a specific location, okay? And then we want to go back to see the whole project in its all, let's say, inside our canvas. There's a quick way to do that instead of moving in and out with the mouse wheel. If we want to have a look, a comprehensive view of everything you loaded into QGIS, we have these buttons at the top here, which is the zoom in and zoom out. So if you want to zoom in, you have also the lens. If you want to zoom out, you also have the possibility to do this and to do this. But the button close to them is basically zoom full. You can zoom to the full project. So everything you have inside your JS. If you click it, it shows everything that I've loaded so far. Okay. So I can zoom in. I can maybe lose myself somewhere. I lose track of where I am. So I can basically revert to show everything I need. And I have in my JS with this button here. Zoom full goes back, showing you everything you have in your project. But let's say that, for example, I am working here and I have loaded a high resolution image, which is the Kaguya ortho image. So the frame, the small frame that I have inside my project. Another way for me to zoom exactly where I have placed this image is to do right click. You go to the first option, zoom to layer. If I click here, my zoom goes exactly where I have my layer loaded in. This is very important because the more layers you have, the more complexity you're adding to your project. And sometimes it's good to have this type of granular control. So you can zoom in and out. You can zoom to the exact frame the whole project, but if you right click, you can also zoom to layer and you can image the exact layer you want to work on. Okay, so it's very convenient. We have quite a lot of granular controls to do that. Okay, you are seeing that there was a decoration here at the top in our previous project. We had like a scale bar. We can enable these things in view. We can add scale bars. If you go to view, decorations, we can add a grid, a scale bar, a title, lots of things. For example, I want to add a scale bar. I click, I enable the scale bar. I can, for example, choose to have a full bar instead of ticks filled with white. We have lots of sliders, color palettes, or the color wheel. There are many ways to accomplish this. And then I simply click apply, and here you have a scale bar appearing. Sometimes you have problems, like in this case, because we have some hiccups in our coordinate reference systems because there are many layers loaded with different coordinate reference systems. But here you see a scale bar, and if you zoom in and out, it adapts to your needs. You will see later on how it appears. If you are encountering this type of problems, another way to solve them is to go into the preferences of QGIS. And there's also a guide put together by Angelo who is explaining you to do that. I think it's
in the project properties.
It's in the project. There's the QGIS, so the software project properties, and the project properties. So the ones of the project we are working on, which is their properties. You click, you go to general, and ellipsoid, you go to non-planimetric. So ellipsoid, non-planimetric. You click apply, and you see that your scale bar now is working. This is 90 kilometers. If you don't read it because it's in white, you can also go to decorations, scale bar. You click, and you can also adjust the font to your needs. For example, you want to adjust the font color, you can do that. You move to the white, and you can adjust the font size to 30 ppi, for example. You hit apply, and you get your scale bar adjusted. Also, the thickness of the scale bar can be adjusted. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but you see that it's going to adjust according to the zoom level so that you know exactly the scale of the objects you're working on. Okay. Of course, we can use the scale, but if we want to measure distances, we can also use this ruler that we have here on the top bar. Measure line. If you click on measure line, you see we are measuring in meters, but we can also measure in kilometers, feet, yards, miles, depends on what you prefer. You can use also like polylines to measure distances, which is good. Okay, if we want to measure a new one, you simply click with your left mouse button, you click adding nodes to measure your distance. It's a good
Riccardo,
way to
sorry,
measure distances.
someone is asking how to fix, how to show again, how to change the project properties to planimetric to fix the scale.
Perfect. You go to project at the top, you go to properties. Maybe if you are on Windows or on Linux, it's placed somewhere a bit differently, but they should be around the project button. If you can please look at check on Linux, should probably be consistent with Windows as well, but it's in properties. You have the general tab of your project. You go to measurements, ellipsoid, non-planimetric. It's the first option. I will do it again.
Yeah,
Project.
while you do it, Riccardo, just a quick note. Keep in mind, this is an approximation. It's something that we would really like not to have to do. I believe there is still some work to be done on the projection side, maybe in GDAL, maybe in QGIS, I'm not sure. So be aware that is something that works in this case because we are working in a restricted area and we are already working on a projected CRS in the project. So
yes,
it's an approximation. If you work in a global project, because you are mapping the whole planetary body, keep in mind, pay attention to this because it's not something that will
this works with projected
well.
images, not with degrees.
Don't land the spacecraft with this.
Yeah, exactly. That's the
Please.
message. This is a help for you to evaluate things in a qualitative way, but it's not super quantitative. I mean, to do that, you can also use the Cartesian measurements, which is working on the projected images, which is a bit better, but still don't rely on this. Okay, bookmarks. If we are working on different locations in the same project, we can also use bookmarks. Bookmarks, as the names say, it's something that brings you back to a specific location. Okay, I will give you an example. I am working on the central peak of Tsiolkovsky crater. Okay, I'm creating a map, a very high detail map of the central peak. Then I will move to another location. Okay, I for some reason want to go back to this exact specific frame to continue my mapping or to improve my mapping. How can I do that? I can create a bookmark of this exact frame in my project. To do that, we have to go here to this panel, the browser panel. You see here you have the spatial bookmarks. If you expand it, you have user bookmarks and project bookmarks. In this case, I will want to use project bookmarks, which are not propagated throughout my whole QGIS in every project that I open, but just related to my specific mapping project. So we use most of the time project bookmarks. We right-click, we add the new spatial bookmark. We can give it a name like central peak. We can add it to a group, but this is not the case because it's the first one. We can use the map canvas extent, which is actually the frame that we are working on. We can also use the one of a layer, for example, but this is basically the case most of the time people want to do, or we can draw it on the canvas. But let's say we want to have a bookmark exact in this position. We click here, nothing changes. And then it's saved in project bookmarks. I click save, and now an arrow appears here. We have the central peak bookmark. So if I move away, I go to another location, and then I want to start mapping my central peak again. I go to my bookmark here, I double click it, and I go back to the central peak. Let's add a new bookmark with another location. Okay, we are working on a very high detail area, like counting boulders for a landing site. We go to the project bookmarks. Here, we add like boulders area. And then we want to draw on canvas a specific area. We click draw on canvas. A cursor appears. We drag the area where we want our bookmark. And then we simply click save. So now I want to go back to the central peak. Double click, I'm mapping the central peak. I want to my boulder area, I double click here. So it's very easy and convenient. This is another way to jump around your project very fast and very effectively. So this is to image the whole project, okay? Right click here is to image the exact layer size. For example, my terrain camera. If I want to zoom in and out my working areas that are very definite and fixed or very, very specific type locations, we can use bookmarks. We can go to boulder area, we can go to the central peak, and we can create as many as we want inside our project, which is very, very convenient. So again, to do that, you go here in the browser, spatial bookmarks, project bookmarks, right click, new spatial bookmark. Maybe we want a zoomed out version. We can create like a zoomed out better. I mean, this is not a good name, but still, we can check with that is taking our map as extent, for example. We can save, and then we add a new one. So central peak, boulder area, zoomed out crater. You see? And so every time you open your project, These are stored inside your project file, and you can use that at your convenience. But now we have to save the project, and you see here we have an untitled project with a small star here. It means that we are working on this project, modifying it, but still needs to be saved. To save a project is very easy. You go to Project, Save As. And as a philosophy, as Luca explained you before, it's nice to work inside a main folder. For example, now I am working inside this Trafficability and Tsiolkovsky final release, which is the folder that we have delivered to you. And inside this folder, I have my project file, which actually is this one. I can create a new one, also like a demo. And also inside the same folder, I want to have a folder with all the raster files, all the images, and all the vector files, all the files needed for mapping. Okay, everything needs this. I mean, it's good to nest everything inside a main folder. And the reason is simple. Now I click save. You see now it's saved in demo. So once I want to pass a project to a colleague of mine, I simply can take this old parent folder, which is the Trafficability. Where is it? It's here. Yeah. And inside the Trafficability folder, I have everything inside. So now I have created a new project file, and I need to delete it. But inside this project folder, I have my QGIS project file, my raster folder, my vector folder, other types of information. But if you copy the main folder and you deliver to another colleague of you and it opens this file, you will get everything as you are working on. This is also what we did for you. We took this parent folder, the main folder, we created a zip file, and we delivered it to you. So once you open this project, everything is loaded as we have prepared it. So this is a good way to pass information. If you start saving your files, like you download a raster from the Orbital Data Explorer, from the pilot, from the PDS, and you store it on the desktop, so then you download another file and you store it in the document folder. You download another file and you store it in a pen drive. And then you take all of them, you put them into a GS project and you save it. Now they are spread into your computer, and there's no chance that you are going to deliver safely a project to a colleague of yours. So it's a good mindset to work always inside the same folder. Okay, and inside the same folder, put all the layers that you need. This is a very good starting point, not to mess up, because also happened to me that I had projects in the past during my PhD with files spread around my computer, and I couldn't really find them. So try to build your own projects also in the future, working inside the same folder.